Hello, radiant Leo souls. This is a deeply intuitive horoscope reading just for you, and if you're hearing my voice right now, it's not by accident. There's a message from the other side. A grandmother figure in heaven is watching over you. She sees what you cannot yet feel. And she's trying to warn you because something is quietly growing inside you. A hidden illness. Energetic, emotional, or physical. But very real. Let me ask you. Have you been ignoring the tension in your shoulders? That strange fatigue that sleep won't cure? The headaches, the gut flutters, the waves of sadness you can't explain? This is not just life being busy or you being too sensitive. This is your soul sending up flares. This is your spirit team and one powerful grandmother energy trying to get your attention before it's too late. Welcome to Eternal Mindfulness, a space where spiritual wisdom, cosmic timing, and ancestral energy converge. You didn't stumble here. You were called. And today's message is urgent but sacred. There is still time. She sees what's happening. But she also knows the cure. She's not just showing up to warn you. She's here to guide you. Through intuitive healing, rituals passed down through generations, and natural wisdom your body is aching to remember. You just need to listen and act. You see, in this moment, the universe is aligning a powerful healing portal just for you. And your grandmother. She's been waiting for you to say yes. To stop running. To look within. To break the pattern. So before we go any further, pause. Take a deep breath. Place your hand on your heart. Now write this in the comments to open the energetic channel between you and her. Speech balloon, I am Leo the first. Accept the healing my grandmother in heaven is sending me. Because when you affirm this, you're not just typing words. You're saying to your spirit guides, I'm ready. And they hear you. This isn't a random YouTube video. This is a turning point. A sacred whisper wrapped in digital form. A cosmic invitation for you to finally understand what your body has been trying to tell you all along. And Leo, I want to say something from my heart to yours. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Every like, every comment, every time you subscribe. It's more than support. It's a declaration. A signal to the universe that you are awake, aware, and no longer living unconsciously. Your presence fuels this space and allows eternal mindfulness to keep bringing you messages that are not just predictions, but transmissions of real healing and transformation. So please, stay with me until the very end of this reading. Because trust me, dear Leo, what your grandmother wants to reveal today is more than guidance. It could change the way you view your body, your energy, and your destiny. Thought balloon. And now, tell me in the comments. What brought you here today? Was it a dream? A strange pull? A quiet knowing in your chest? I want to know, because often, what draws us in is what begins the healing. There are moments in life when discomfort is not just discomfort, it is a signal. A ripple in the current of your energy field, a quiet messenger from the inside out. And if you've ever felt that sense of unease, that strange knowing that something isn't quite right, even when no scans or doctors can explain it, you're not imagining things. The body, in its quiet wisdom, always speaks first. It whispers before it screams. And what we're exploring in this part of the reading is the art of listening to that whisper before it becomes a roar. This section marks a turning point in the story your body has been trying to tell. It's about the patterns you may have been ignoring, subtle tension in the shoulders that returns every morning, the fatigue that lingers even after a full night's rest, the headaches you brushed off as stress, or the insomnia that creeps in despite your best routines. These are not isolated inconveniences. They are connected threads in a deeper tapestry of imbalance. Especially for Leo, a sign ruled by the sun, vitality is sacred. When that solar fire begins to dim, when energy wanes, when your body feels heavy, your digestion sluggish, or your sleep disturbed, it's not just physical. It's energetic. It's telling you that somewhere, somehow, the inner flame is flickering under the weight of unexpressed emotion, suppressed instincts, or prolonged disconnection from your own rhythm. You see, healing doesn't begin in the hospital. It begins in awareness. In stillness. In presence. When you begin to feel the signals, not fight them, you start to transform your relationship with your own being. Like a lion pausing in the tall grass, alert to something invisible but sensed, you're being asked to become deeply still, not out of fear, but out of deep reverence for what your body is communicating. The Tower card that has shown up for you in today's energy is not a symbol of destruction, but of revelation. Of necessary clearing. Of truth that must be faced so that something more aligned can emerge. Think of it like a sudden rainstorm washing away the dust on the window, uncomfortable, perhaps, but ultimately clarifying. And alongside it, the Queen of Cups appears, the archetype of compassion, intuition, and emotional healing. She's not loud. She doesn't force. She listens, she feels, she understands. Her presence here is a reminder that every alarm your body sounds is not a punishment, it's an invitation. An invitation to hold yourself with more tenderness than you ever have before. Often, we're taught to push through, to override, to numb. But sometimes the most powerful act of strength is not pushing harder, it's pausing with honesty. It's saying, I don't feel okay, and letting that truth rise without judgment. The real transformation begins when you allow the moment to be exactly what it is without trying to fix or flee from it. There's a quiet teaching in that. When the water is stirred, you don't clear it by force, you let it settle. In this stillness, in this inner awareness, a new form of clarity can arise, one that isn't about what's wrong with you, but what wants to be healed through you. You are not broken, Leo. You are becoming. Your body is not the enemy. It's the compass. So what are you noticing in your body lately that keeps coming back? A pain, a tightness, a heaviness? Leave a comment below and say, I am Leo, I'm listening to my body and choosing to heal. Because in that declaration, you create a shift. You honor the signal, and in doing so, you begin the healing. Not later. Not someday. Now. What often appears as physical tension or fatigue is not just a matter of the body being tired, it's the subtle language of imbalance, quietly surfacing through the physical form. After all, the body is not separate from the mind, and the mind is not separate from the flow of our daily life. This next part of the journey invites you to release what has been stuck, to clear what's been quietly building within. It's about freeing both body and mind from the toxins that don't belong to you anymore. For Leo, a sign ruled by the heart and associated with radiant, creative fire, these blockages tend to settle in very particular places. The heart, for example, carries unspoken sorrow and the weight of expectations not just from others, but from yourself. You give and give, often without pause, and sometimes forget to hold space for your own restoration. The liver, the energetic center tied to suppressed anger and long-held frustration, may hold emotions you've never spoken aloud. The digestive system responds to silent anxiety, the kind that doesn't show up in words but tightens your belly when no one is watching. And the spine, so central to Leo's sense of pride and posture, quietly bears the weight of everything you feel responsible for. The truth is, healing doesn't begin with dramatic change, it begins with gentleness. With choosing to see yourself as someone worth caring for, not fixing. That's why even the smallest rituals matter. A glass of warm water in the morning. 15 minutes of sunlight on your face. Choosing movement that feels like play, not punishment. These aren't luxuries, they are the way back to your natural rhythm. When we talk about detoxification, we're not just speaking of the physical removal of toxins. We're speaking about clearing stagnant energy. Letting go of patterns that constrict your breath. Thoughts that recycle stress. And emotions that were never fully allowed to move through you. It's about recognizing the habits that numb rather than nourish and slowly replacing them with choices that feel like relief. There's an ancient teaching that reminds us, when the water is muddy, you don't stir it harder. You let it settle. And in that stillness, clarity rises from within. The same principle applies to healing. When you stop grasping for the next solution and instead create the conditions for balance, your body does what it's always known how to do: restore itself. Certain natural elements can help you in this phase. Herbs like turmeric, licorice root, lotus leaf, and ginger are more than just ingredients, they carry warmth, grounding, and deep cleansing properties. When used intentionally, they can support the body's natural intelligence without force. The colors you wear or surround yourself with, warm amber oranges and soft olive greens, are not just aesthetics. They affect your nervous system. They soften you, reminding your cells that it is safe to relax, safe to let go. Healing is not something to chase. It is something you allow. And sometimes, that permission starts with one quiet act of self-respect. So ask yourself now, in this moment, what's one small thing I can do today that supports my body instead of ignoring it? It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be true. If something is stirring within you and knowing that your body has been holding too much for too long, I invite you to share it in the comments. Type, "I am Leo the first, choose to release what no longer serves me." Because even in a world full of noise, your choice to come back to yourself can echo louder than any pain. And you're not alone in this. You were never meant to do it all on your own. Sometimes, the answers we seek don't come in loud declarations or sudden breakthroughs. They arrive in softer forms: a memory that returns without warning, a song you haven't heard in years that plays just as you're thinking of someone, or the scent of something familiar that stirs a feeling deep in your chest. These quiet moments are not just passing coincidences. They are part of a deeper process, one that reminds us that even when we feel alone, we are never truly disconnected from the wisdom that shaped us. When we speak of reconnecting with someone no longer in this world, we're not speaking of ghosts or magic, we're talking about memory as a living, breathing part of the present moment. There are traces of those who loved us in the choices we make, the instincts we trust, the calm that sometimes rushes in when we need it most. That connection, especially when it comes from someone as nurturing and grounding as a grandmother, doesn't disappear with time. It becomes something quieter, but no less powerful. There is something profound about taking a few minutes each day to be still. Not to achieve, not to fix, not to strive, but simply to listen. When you light a candle or journal in silence, you're not performing a ritual for others to see. You're building a bridge inward. A space for intuition to rise, for insight to form without pressure. And in that space, things you didn't know you were holding often begin to surface, and with them, clarity. The High Priestess represents this kind of still wisdom. She doesn't speak in instructions, but in presence. She asks you to trust the voice within that doesn't always have language, the knowing that lives in the body, in the breath, in the pause between thoughts. And the Empress brings her own energy to this process, gentle creation, nurturing, and the reminder that healing doesn't require efforting, it requires allowing. These archetypes aren't just cards. They are mirrors. Reflecting back the parts of you that already know how to heal, how to guide, how to remember. There's a natural law that reminds us of impermanence, that all things arise and pass away. But what remains is how we choose to meet each moment. Just as the sun doesn't ask whether it's appreciated before rising, our inner guidance doesn't need approval to exist. It's already there, waiting for space to emerge. Sometimes, the most transformative moments happen not when we search harder, but when we finally stop resisting what we already feel. You don't need a formal setting to reconnect with this energy. You need sincerity. A willingness to sit with yourself long enough to hear something deeper than your thoughts. It might come in the form of a childhood memory, a sudden release of emotion, or simply a deep breath that feels like relief. And in that moment, you'll know, this is what reconnection looks like. So I invite you now, not as a performance but as a quiet offering, to open that space for yourself. And if it resonates, type in the comments, I am Leo the first, choose to listen, and I'm ready to heal. Because naming your intention is not just for the algorithm, it's for your own soul. And sometimes, that small act of acknowledgement is what opens the next door. Healing doesn't always begin with fixing something outside of you. Often, it starts with meeting what's been stored quietly inside. What you feel but never said. What you carry but never named. What you tried to release but didn't know how. This part of the journey brings you face to face with the emotional patterns that have settled into your body, your choices, and even your sense of identity. And for many Leo souls, whose hearts are both fierce and tender, this can be the most powerful and most necessary step. When emotions are not fully processed, they don't simply disappear. They settle. Sometimes in the muscles, sometimes in the breath, sometimes in that heavy silence you can't quite explain. Over time, they crystallize into reactions: quick tempers, sharp withdrawals, low-level fatigue, or chronic self-doubt. The pain becomes a lens, coloring how we see ourselves and how we let others see us. And the longer it's there, the more we start to believe that weight is just part of who we are. But that weight is not your truth, it's your history. And history can be held with compassion, then released with intention. That's why the most effective practices for emotional healing are often the simplest. Writing a letter you'll never send, just to let the words out. Breathing through discomfort instead of swallowing it. Placing a hand over your heart and gently telling yourself, that was then. This is now. And I am safe. These are not small acts. They are powerful choices to stop carrying what you were never meant to hold forever. In moments like these, it's useful to reflect on the principle that pain multiplies when resisted, but softens when welcomed. Emotions, like waves, rise and fall. They do not last forever, but when blocked, they create tides that never resolve. Just as the river clears when it's allowed to flow freely, your emotional body clears when it is allowed to express without judgment. This week, your numerology carries the vibration of the number 6, a symbol of healing, harmony, and returning to what truly matters. It reminds you that inner peace is not found in perfection, but in gentle redirection. In choosing love over fear. In placing your hand on your chest when the world feels overwhelming, and remembering, the heart has space for everything, even the things you thought were too much. Your power doesn't come from being unaffected. It comes from choosing to respond with presence, even when old pain shows up again. Every time you breathe through instead of shut down, you create space for something new to grow. That space is where clarity lives. Where decisions are no longer made from fear, but from truth. So ask yourself gently, if you could let go of one painful memory, just one, how might your life begin to change? What would feel lighter? What would you do differently if you were no longer bound by the weight of what once was? You don't have to answer it all at once. But let it move something inside you. If you feel ready, leave a comment below that says, "I am Leo the first, release the weight of the past and open to my healing." Because naming that intention, even quietly, can begin to shift the energy you carry. And that shift might just be the beginning of your return to wholeness. Abundance is not something we chase, it's something we allow. And the allowing begins not with effort, but with alignment. There is a natural intelligence in the universe that responds not to how hard we try, but to how clearly we resonate. When your inner world is full of tension, old beliefs, and unprocessed emotion, it creates static in your energy field. That static repels flow. But when you begin to heal, when you tend to your inner space with care and honesty, it's like clearing the dam that was holding the river back. Suddenly, things move again. The same life force that brings healing to the body also brings prosperity into form. There's a quiet truth many overlook, that wealth, like health, is a reflection of how freely your energy moves. When your breath is shallow, your thoughts are crowded, and your space is cluttered, abundance has no room to land. But when you make space, when you release the idea that you must suffer to deserve, or hustle to prove your worth, something powerful begins to shift. Your worth was never in question. But your belief in it may need to be remembered. Leo, your natural gift is radiance. You shine not because you try, but because you are. And that same light that draws people toward you also has the potential to attract opportunity, resources, and support, but only when you stop dimming yourself in the name of survival. You don't need to do more. You need to reconnect to the deeper current beneath the doing. That current is where true wealth lives. Sometimes, small symbolic acts help reconnect us to that flow. Placing a bowl of salt and a coin in the east-facing window at the waning moon is not superstition, it's a gesture of intention. Salt clears. The coin grounds. The moon's cycle reminds us that timing matters. Likewise, cleaning your wallet, letting go of receipts linked to stress or lack, and surrounding yourself only with things that carry positive energy is more than decluttering, its energetic reset. It tells your subconscious, I'm ready to receive something new. Even wearing or sleeping near stones like tiger's eye or orange calcite is not about magic, but about resonance. They help you tune your attention toward courage, vitality, and focus, 3 qualities essential to manifesting abundance with integrity. The card that supports your energy in this phase is the Ace of Pentacles. This is not a vague promise. It's a signal. A doorway. But it only opens when your inner space is ready to hold what's on the other side. You can't pour into a full cup. And you can't manifest lasting abundance from a mind flooded with self-doubt. This card reminds you that a new financial chapter is ready, but you must first become the version of yourself who knows how to steward it. So pause and reflect. If you truly believed you were worthy of abundance, what would change today? Would you speak differently? Walk differently? Choose more boldly? Invest in yourself with more trust? These shifts don't need to be loud, but they do need to be real. Prosperity isn't a future event. It's a present readiness. If you feel that something inside is ready to open, ready to receive not just money, but stability, clarity, and respect, leave a comment below. I am Leo the first. Choose to release resistance and welcome aligned abundance. Because what you declare from a centered heart sends ripples into everything around you. And sometimes, one choice to open is all it takes for life to answer. If you're still with me now, Leo, it means something in your heart is shifting. You're not just watching a video. You're standing at the edge of a quiet, beautiful transformation. And no, this isn't about overnight miracles or quick fixes. It's about what happens when you finally stop ignoring the small signs, the fatigue, the restlessness, the inner knowing that you're meant for more, and begin listening to what your body, your emotions, your energy have been whispering all along. This moment isn't random. You didn't find this message by chance. The alignment that brought you here is part of something much bigger than you realize. Today marks a doorway, a rare moment when healing becomes more than a concept and starts to feel possible again. The practices we explored today, the breathing, the letting go, the reconnecting, the clearing, none of them are complicated. But they are powerful. Because what you do with consistency, with honesty, with intention, that's what rewires your future. You don't have to keep carrying the weight alone. The strength you've developed from enduring isn't meant to keep you hardened. It's meant to teach you how soft you're allowed to be now. How safe it is to open. How much power there is in choosing to tend to yourself, not just for survival but for joy. So I invite you, with all the gentleness you deserve, to ask yourself this. What would it look like if I stopped waiting to feel worthy and simply chose to treat myself like I already am? What would shift if you gave yourself permission to slow down, to say no, to say yes, to honor what your body has been asking for all this time? Your grandmother, or the wise, nurturing voice within you, has been watching, waiting for you to come back to yourself. She's not asking you to become someone else. She's asking you to remember who you were before the world told you to forget. And when you take even one step in that direction, when you choose breath over burnout, forgiveness over resentment, nourishment over numbness, something in the universe responds. Something in your energy begins to open. And through that opening, healing finds its way back to you. If this message stirred something in you, if even one part felt like it was written just for you, don't keep it inside. Comment below. I am Leo the first. Welcome health, love, and prosperity into my life. Say it as a commitment, a declaration, a return. And if this video gave you a sense of peace, of clarity, or even just a moment of stillness, please like, subscribe, and become part of this growing circle of souls here at Eternal Mindfulness. Every action you take, every comment, every share ripples out and helps us continue creating these sacred spaces together. You are light. You are enough. And most of all, you are ready not just to be healed, but to be whole again. Now tell me, Leo, what truth in you is ready to rise?